Chapter 4886. Cantonese morning tea. You guys should go home after breakfast. You must be sleepy after staying up all night. Pudding looked at the others. What about you, sis? Xiao to Anchuan looked at Pudding. I'll go to the company. I have something to do there. You didn't sleep all night either. Go home and rest, Xiao Yuanyuan persuaded. No, it's urgent. You guys should go home. Unable to persuade Pudding, the other six drove back to South Hill Manor after breakfast. Pudding went to GK headquarters directly. However, just as she was about to enter the company, the receptionist at the door said, President Qin said that if you come, you should go to the office directly. Pudding nodded and took the elevator to the top floor. Inside the president's office, Pudding saw her father. Qin Chu was wearing a sapphire blue suit. He was old, but he was still extremely handsome. Qin Chu was probably the only person in the world who was as handsome as him. If there was anyone more handsome than him, it would probably be his son, Qin Yuyao. Pudding's eyes softened at the sight of her father. Sit down. Qin Chu waved his hand and flipped through the documents in his hand. Then, the door to the office was opened again and two private doctors walked in. President Qin, take a look at my daughter's foot. She's injured, Qin Chu pointed at Pudding and said. Dad, I'm fine. It's just a small injury. Pudding was a bit panicked. It was so early in the morning and her father called two private doctors. What was going on? President Qin, let us take a look. Pudding raised her head and looked at the two private doctors of the group. She also felt that her father was making a big fuss over nothing. However, seeing her father's serious expression, she didn't dare to refuse in case he got angry. Pudding stretched out her foot and let the two doctors examine it. Qin Chu made a phone call. Pudding didn't know who he was calling. She only heard him say, bring them here and smash the store. It was only a few words, but Pudding had a feeling that it had something to do with her. She also saw her father's face had a hint of anger. She was so scared that she didn't dare to make a sound. 5 minutes later, how's my daughter? Qin Chu got up and walked over. CEO Qin Jr. is fine. He was just injured by the broken glass and was disinfected in time. With professional bandages, it will scab in 3 or 4 days. Don't you need to film? Qin Chu frowned slightly. Pudding, there's really no need for an X-ray, Hyo Qin. Little CEO Qin's injuries are really minor. Qin Chu was silent for 3 seconds after hearing what the two private doctors said. Then, he nodded with a cold expression. That's all for now. After being tormented, the two private doctors quietly left the office. Only the father and daughter were left in the huge office. Pudding was a little scared. She had never seen her father so angry before. Especially because she fought, Qin Chu didn't say anything. He walked to the water dispenser and poured a cup of hot water for his daughter. Have you eaten something this morning? Pudding bit her lip. Did you sleep last night? Yes. Then go home and sleep later. I'll let your Uncle Yang handle your work. Dad, I'm sorry. Pudding lowered her head and apologized to Qin Chu seriously like a child who had done something wrong. Seeing his daughter like this, Qin Chu's heart instantly softened. Silly girl, why are you apologizing? Dad, I fought with my brothers and sisters last night and accidentally hurt myself. It's my fault for making you worry. Pudding was very obedient and also felt very guilty. She knew that she had indeed made her father worried. Chapter 4887. There was another 5 seconds of silence. Qin Chu patted Pudding's head, just like he did when she was young. His voice was very gentle, the kind of gentle voice that only family members could hear. He said, I saw what happened last night. Pudding looked up in surprise. She couldn't believe it. Your aunt installed trackers and surveillance cameras on Tuan Tuan and Yuan Yuan. We saw the whole process. In order to train your adaptability and hands-on skills, she even stopped the police from rescuing you. You did well, but we didn't expect you to be injured in the end. I was careless, Pudding said. Dad will avenge you. I won't let go of the people who bullied you. Qin Chu hadn't cleaned up a mess for a long time, but this time, for his daughter, he really did it to the extreme. Those underlings of the mafia had always been sneaky and had done all sorts of heinous things. Therefore, Qin Chu ordered them to be caught before the police could catch them. Then, they would be brought to the wilderness and beaten half to death. That seafood stall was also smashed to smithereens. The stall owner's feet were covered in broken glass. This was the price for his daughter's injury. He didn't care what others said or how they looked at him. He only wanted to be a protective parent and a father who cared about his daughter. Dad, sorry to make you worry. I'm so useless. Don't say that. You just need to rest well. Is tomorrow's coming-of-age ceremony okay? Why don't we postpone it for a few days? Qin Chu asked for her opinion. Pudding shook her head. No, Dad, I'm really fine. I'll be fine tomorrow. Okay, then you can go back first. I'll get the driver to send you. Okay. Pudding knew that she couldn't stay and continue working. Her father must be very worried and heartbroken. So, she obediently walked out of the office and went downstairs. She didn't expect to meet Liao Mukin in the lobby. He had just finished his vacation and was coming over to shoot a promotional video today. He walked face to face with Pudding. Seeing the gauze on her foot, his expression was a little complicated. Actually, he had seen the WeChat message yesterday. Pudding deleted it later. He knew that she must be injured. As expected, "Good morning, boss." "Good morning," Pudding replied politely. "Boss, your foot, Liao Mukin, mind your own business." Pudding shut him up with one sentence. "Aren't I worried about you? If you can't walk, I can carry you." "No need." "Then where are you going now? Shall I drive you?" Liao Mukin smiled brightly. "No need." "Boss, tomorrow is your coming-of-age ceremony. My invitation?" Liao Mukin was really not afraid of death. At this time, the boss was already in such a state, yet he still had the nerve to mention the invitation. He thought that he would be scolded badly again. To his surprise, Pudding agreed. She said, "I'll call Director Yang later and ask him to give you one. You can go and get it yourself." Liao Mukin was stunned for a moment. "What? You don't want to go?" Pudding stared at his face. "Think about it." "Thank you, boss." "This is the rhythm of the sun rising from the west," he muttered softly. As soon as she walked out of GK and saw Liao Mukin's face, she felt sad again. Looking at the blue sky, she asked in her heart, "Handsome Sue, do you see? I'm 18 years old. Tomorrow is Little Beans and my coming-of-age ceremony. If only you were still here, how great would that be?" Chapter 4888. Qin Chu was furious that Pudding was injured, but he didn't show it in front of his daughter. However, the people who offended his daughter were all unlucky. She didn't even give face to Gao Ran. When Gao Ran's men went to arrest them, they found that they were all missing. At first, Gao Ran thought it was Lu Yen who did it, so he called Huamin to ask about it. Huamin put down the phone and went to ask Lu Yen. He went to the top of the mountain to practice boxing in front of the Qiao sisters. Lu Yen sat alone on the balcony on the top floor, eating ice cream and basking in the sun. She was very relaxed. "Yen," Huamin called out softly. "Sis." Lu Yen turned around, and when she saw it was her sister, her expression softened. "Why didn't you go up the mountain with Tuan Tuan and Yuan Yuan? When it comes to practicing martial arts, it's enough that there's trouble. There's no need for me to go personally." She smiled. "Yen, what happened last night? Those people? Did you do it?" Huamin didn't want to beat around the bush with her sister and asked directly. "What do you mean by I did it?" Lu Yen was confused. "Gao Ran just called me and said that the people from the Municipal Public Security Bureau went to arrest them, but they didn't catch them. They disappeared mysteriously, and there are more than 30 people in total." Huamin's tone was calm. She didn't blame Lu Yen at all. After all, those scumbags deserved no sympathy. "It really wasn't me this time. Those small fries couldn't even beat my daughter. Why would I do it? What a joke. But if it wasn't me, I'm afraid there's only one person who could do it." Then, Lu Yen paused and looked at her sister. "Sis, why don't you ask your husband about it?" Huamin didn't look surprised at all. She had guessed it when Lu Yen denied it. The reason why Qin Chu was angry was obvious. His precious daughter was injured. Pudding's injury was caused by her accidentally stepping on broken glass. But if it weren't for those scumbags, Pudding wouldn't have hurt her foot while eating supper. Everyone knew that Qin Chu doted on his daughters. He even cared for his two sisters more than Qin Guogua. Most of these super tycoons raised their sons and daughters in poverty. The daughters could do anything, but the sons couldn't do anything. Fortunately, Qin Guogua wasn't jealous, and he was independent. He never cared about whether his sister was hurt more or if he was hurt more. In his world, they were all a family. As the two of them chatted, they heard footsteps approaching. Lu Yen and Huamin turned around and saw Pudding, who had just returned home. "Mumteni, Pudding, is your foot okay?" Huamin knew that his daughter was injured, so he immediately looked at her foot. Pudding shook her head. "It's fine. I bandaged it at Southside and did a full body checkup. Dad even asked 2 private doctors to check it again at the company. See? I told you my brother-in-law was furious." This time, Lu Yen looked as if she had expected it. Huamin also agreed that this was Qin Chu's doing. "Is your dad angry?" Huamin asked his daughter. Pudding nodded. "He's a little angry. I haven't seen him like this in a long time. It's my fault. I made you guys worry." "It's not your fault. Pudding, you didn't use your full strength during the fight last night. You were hiding your strength, weren't you?" Lu Yen smirked and pointed at Pudding. Chapter 4889. Lu Yen saw the video from last night very clearly, including when Xiao Yuanyuan placed the sticky explosives on the enemies. In fact, Xiao Yuanyuan wasn't omnipotent. She didn't stick explosives on everyone. Brother Tao didn't have any on him at all. However, he was scared by Xiao Yuanyuan. In this aspect, Xiao Yuanyuan was very similar to how Lu Yen scared Ian back then. Their methods were the same, and they even said that there was no such thing as too much deception in war. Xiao Tuanshuan was really ruthless. Because she couldn't kill people, she directly broke the opponent's hand, leg, and spine. After that battle, the people who were hurt by Xiao Tuanshuan would probably be in a wheelchair for the rest of their lives even if they didn't die. Although Tang Tianjiao was the most active and caused the most trouble, his kung fu was actually the weakest here. It could only be considered a small fight. Qin Guogua was quite good at keeping a low profile and not showing off, but his methods were extremely vicious. Little Bean almost didn't participate and was completely protected by everyone. After all, Gao Buyuan, who was the best boyfriend, was there. Gao Buyuan really protected Little Bean. He was never more than 3 meters away from her, afraid that she would get hurt. Lu Yen saw the love in his eyes clearly. As for Pudding, although she also participated in the battle, she didn't use her full strength. It could be said that she used less than 30% of her strength. She didn't use her real skills and was just going through the motions. So, when her auntie exposed her today, she immediately knew what was going on. "Auntie, I knew that my brothers and sisters were all powerful people. I didn't need to do anything. I wanted to give them a chance to show off." "You're so smart." Lu Yen chuckled. Pudding walked over and hugged Lu Yan's neck affectionately. Perhaps only in front of Lu Yen could Pudding be willful and impudent like a half-grown child. "I want to drink your Hong Kong-style milk tea." "Okay, your foot is injured. Don't walk too much. Be careful not to get it wet." Huamin was still worried about his daughter's injury and didn't forget to remind her before he left. "I'm fine, Mum, don't worry." After making up an excuse to send Huamin away, Lu Yen pinched Pudding's cheek before she could say anything. "Little brat, tell me, you purposely sent your mother away. What do you want to do now? Don't tell me you want to borrow money? Auntie, you're really thinking too much. Although I can't say that I have more money than you, but I have enough money to spend for a lifetime. I'm really not borrowing money." "What are you doing? Lend me your weapon." "No, I'm not interested in weapons," Pudding said. "You're in love. Are you afraid your mom will scold you?" Lu Yen guessed. "I'm not." "Auntie, don't talk nonsense." Pudding finally realized that her auntie was the one who didn't know what to say. "I'm not talking nonsense. Aren't you and that little artist under your company quite popular recently? There are reports from foreign media." "They're really just my employees." Pudding continued to sweat. Lu Yen laughed so hard that tears almost came out of her eyes. She spoke nonsense so casually, but Pudding explained it so seriously that she was speechless. And Little Bean and I planned a big secret gift for my parents tomorrow, Pudding whispered into Lu Yan's ear. We're going to hold a wedding for them, Lu Yan said. Little Bean told you? Pudding was surprised to see her auntie so calm, thinking that Little Bean must have leaked the news. Little Bean didn't tell me. But when you mentioned the big gift for them, I immediately thought of a wedding. After all, they've been married for decades without a wedding. I don't understand such a weird thing. Chapter 4890. Although Lu Yan and Xiao Fei's wedding didn't cause a sensation all over the world, it was still a small event. It was carried out in a low-key manner, but the ceremony was still held. Qin Chu and Huamin went over directly from China. It was also their first time on Lu Yan's island. Professor Lu also arrived in time. Lu Yan was wearing a wedding dress and looked as beautiful as a fairy. All her subordinates partied on the island for 3 days and 3 nights. Even someone like Huamian, who had great self-control, was dead drunk. She hugged Qin Chu and cried and laughed. Later, after Lu Yan and Xiao Fei's relationship with the Russians eased, the Russians suggested that they hold another wedding. Lu Yan didn't want to hold another one because she thought it was too troublesome. The wedding on the island was enough for her and Xiao Fei to remember for the rest of their lives. However, Lu Yan always felt sorry that her sister didn't wear a wedding dress. She had asked her sister about it, but Huamian didn't have an answer. He felt that a wedding was unnecessary and meaningless. Therefore, even though Qin Chu had wanted to hold one for a long time, he didn't want to force Huamin. Therefore, it was delayed until the children were 18 years old. Pudding and Little Bean's coming-of-age ceremony was planned by Qin Chu and Huamin. A lot of things were flown back from abroad. Even their dresses were pure Chinese. The Han Chinese dress was made of the best brocade, and it was handmade by the best tailor in China for 3 months. The sleeves and hem of the Han Chinese dress were embroidered with golden threads. It was extremely luxurious and gorgeous. Qin Chu and Huamin planned everything for their daughters, but they didn't know that the 2 children had long wanted to do something for their parents. Pudding and Little Bean secretly customized their parents' expensive gowns and wedding dresses according to their measurements. The wedding venue was also hidden under their decorations, so their parents wouldn't notice anything wrong. Since it was a surprise, they had to keep it a secret in advance. Pudding had specially chosen the wedding rings when she flew to Italy more than a month ago. Her father's ring was inlaid with a rare and precious black diamond. Her mother's ring was inlaid with a pink diamond. It was very girlish and dazzling. On the inside of the 2 rings, there were 4 small words engraved in the same font. It was written by Pudding herself, and then the craftsman matched the words one by one. The words were, Chu Mian's life. These were all done by the 2 children with their hearts. They really hoped that their parents could accompany each other until they grew old without any regrets. If I can't even guess that, how stupid am I? I wouldn't be able to live until now. Lu Yan chuckled. Auntie, do you think my parents will like it? Of course she will. Your mom will be so touched that she'll cry. Lu Yan could even imagine Huamian being touched and surprised by the news. Then you have to help us keep it a secret, Auntie. Pudding snickered. Of course, but... Pudding, Forget it. It's okay. I just think, maybe you'll have a surprise at the coming-of-age ceremony, Lu Yan said meaningfully. Did Auntie prepare some good gifts for us? Pudding didn't think too much about it. She just thought that her aunt had prepared another thoughtful gift for them. I give you gifts every year. You two can't be surprised anymore. Then what is it? Nothing. Maybe you'll know when the time comes. Lu Yan didn't explain, and Pudding wasn't very curious, so she didn't ask. She didn't know that the surprise Lu Yan mentioned was Wei Yunchu's sudden appearance. Others didn't notice, but Wei Yunchu's return couldn't escape Lu Yan's eyes. The moment Wei Yunchu boarded the plane in the States, her subordinates sent back the news, so Lu Yan knew immediately. She couldn't interfere with her niece's sadomasochistic love affair, so she had to let the young people handle it themselves. Chapter 4891. Wei Family Mansion. Wei Yunchu stayed with his grandparents for a long time. After they took a nap, he went to the fountain in front of the mansion to get some fresh air. Yunchu, When Tian Tian saw Wei Yunchu leave, she immediately followed him. Her voice was purposely filled with a sweet charm. Wei Yunchu didn't say anything. He had always known Tian Tian's true colors, even more so than Pudding and Little Bean. During the 5 years he had been abroad, he was well aware of Tian Tian's debauchery abroad. However, he wasn't interested in anything about Tian Tian. He wouldn't tell others about her behind her back, nor would he care about her. He didn't think of her as someone who had nothing to do with him. Yunchu, why did you come back? Pudding hurt you once 5 years ago. You shouldn't give her a chance to hurt you again. It's none of your business. Wei Yunchu's tone was extremely cold. Yunchu, I'm doing this for your own good. You don't have to pretend to be pitiful in front of me. I'm not my aunt and uncle. I won't fall for it. Wei Yunchu exposed her without giving her any face. This made Tian Tian feel very awkward, or rather, she couldn't get out of the situation. Brother Yunchu, all these years, no matter how bad my character is, I've never hurt you. I know you don't like me, you think I'm trash, I'm not worthy of you, but Pudding isn't worthy of you either. In the 5 years you were gone, you kept yourself clean and only cared about your studies. What about her? Look at her in China, she's living a carefree life. As far as I know, a few days ago, Liao Mukin got into a drunken fight at night. In the middle of the night, Pudding personally drove to clean up the aftermath. She even sent Liao Mukin to the hospital and stayed with him until after midnight. Have you ever received such treatment? Shut up. He had to admit that Tian Tian's words made Wei Yunchu's heart sour. He was jealous. Indeed, he and Pudding grew up together, but Pudding had never been particularly close to him. Sometimes, Wei Yunchu looked at Little Bean and Buyuan with envy. Little Bean could show off her affection to Gao Buyuan without any scruples. From time to time, she would pinch his face and pat his head. When she was angry, she would throw an iron fist. Pudding, on the other hand, was always high and mighty, never saying anything. No matter if she was happy or unhappy, sad or sad, her face was always as calm as water. Wei Yunchu was often confused. How was Pudding a Scorpio? She was clearly a Capricorn. There were too many things going on in his mind. His heart was already in turmoil, but on the surface he was still calm. It was as if you could never stimulate her nerves. He didn't know if she really didn't care or if she just didn't want to talk about it. Tian Tian was delighted to see that Wei Yunchu was enraged. She took a few more steps forward and said, Brother Yunchu, Pudding really isn't the goddess you think she is. She's just a person. She's not otherworldly and she's not selfless either. Do you know why she's so interested in Liao Mukin? He's not as good-looking as you, and he's not as good as you in every way, but he can get her attention. Do you want to know why? Wei Yunchu remained silent. To be honest, he didn't really believe Pudding and Liao Mukin. He knew what kind of person Pudding was. Ever since they were young, they had known each other for so many years, but she had always been indifferent to him. This small-time artist had only been in the company for a few years. It was impossible for Pudding to fall in love with him at first sight. However, in the next second, Tian Tian's words completely chilled Wei Yunchu's heart. Brother Yunchu, you probably don't know, but there's always been someone in Pudding's heart, and Liao Mukin looks very much like the person in Pudding's heart. Tian Tian spoke with great emotion. She had indeed spent a long time finding out from Pudding's employees. She believed that this news would definitely stimulate Wei Yunchu. How did you know? Wei Yunchu turned around abruptly, his eyes cold. Chapter 4892. Seeing that she was on the right track, Tian Tian was pumped up. She mustered up her courage and took 2 steps closer to Wei Yunchu. Then, she purposely said mysteriously, the entire GK knows about this. Yunchu, you really don't care about what's going on in China? My friend works there, and he said that even Pudding looks at Wei Yunchu differently than other people. How is it different? Although Wei Yunchu was still jealous and uncomfortable, he was also very curious. Why was this man different from others? Yunchu, come here. Let's sit down and talk. This is a long story. I'll make you a cup of coffee first. It wasn't easy for Tian Tian to talk to Wei Yunchu, so how could she let go of this good opportunity? Therefore, she coaxed and lied to get a chance to talk to Wei Yunchu. Wei Yunchu didn't really listen to what Tian Tian said, and he didn't even touch his coffee. He only focused on one thing, which was that Liao Mukin looked like the person in Pudding's heart. Wei Yunchu didn't care about Liao Mukin, but he cared about the person in Pudding's heart. His curiosity was suddenly piqued. He really wanted to know who the person in Pudding's heart was. What kind of person was so powerful that he could occupy Pudding's heart for so long? Holding his phone and looking at Liao Mukin's photo, Wei Yunchu was silent for a long time. South Hill Manor, Pudding was injured, so she didn't stay with her siblings. Instead, she lay quietly in her bedroom. She was extremely bored. She took out her phone and browsed the financial news. Then she looked at the stocks and trends. Pudding was indeed a financial genius. She could make money by herself when she was very young. Now, she didn't rely on her father's company. She had her own venture capital company, which dealt in stocks, futures, foreign exchange, and so on. Suddenly, her WeChat rang. Pudding picked it up and glanced at it, slightly disappointed. For some reason, every time her phone rang, she hoped that it was from Wei Yunchu. Even a simple greeting would be good. Although they had blocked each other on WeChat, they could text each other. Liao Mukin, boss, are you busy? Pudding, yes. Liao Mukin, if you're busy, just give me 5 minutes, okay? Pudding, I said I'm busy. Shouldn't you say something like, then? Liao Mukin, haha, but I'm not an ordinary person, so I don't walk the normal path. Pudding, what is it? Tell me. Liao Mukin, there is indeed something very important. I have been thinking about it all day. Pudding, what's wrong? Do you want to jump ship? Liao Mukin, haha, boss, you really want someone to poach me? Aren't you afraid that I'll run away? Pudding, I'm not afraid. Just pay me 3 times the penalty. Liao Mukin, evil capitalist, I knew you wouldn't be so kind. So you're after the breach of contract. In order to prevent you from getting what you want, I'm not going to change jobs for the rest of my life. I'll retire a GK, okay? Pudding, what is it? Are you going to tell me or not? I don't have time to chat with you. Pudding felt that this guy was always joking, so she didn't want to talk nonsense with him. Bullshitting wasn't Pudding's style, but it suited Little Bean. Liao Mukin, boss, I just wanted to ask how your foot is. When you left the company this morning, I saw that you had trouble walking. Your injury must be quite serious, so I've been worried for the whole day. I wanted to ask you something. I have some medicinal wine given to me by a fan. That fan's family is an old Chinese doctor. Although I'm not a famous doctor, the folk remedies of quack doctors are sometimes really useful. I sprained my waist during rehearsals, but I recovered after a few days. There's still half a bottle left and I was thinking of sending it to you later. Chapter 4893. Liao Mukin was really afraid of rejection, so he said a bunch of words in one breath. Every time he typed, he sent the last sentence in a voice message. His tone was careful and gentle. It was obvious that he was really anxious and afraid that Pudding would reject him. After all, he was used to being rejected by Pudding. But after he said it, he regretted it. If Pudding rejected him coldly, then his behavior just now would be really bad. After he sent the voice message, Pudding was silent for a moment. Just when Liao Mukin thought it was hopeless, Pudding replied, then I'll send someone to get it. No, I'll drive you there. There are too many guests at home, it's not convenient, Pudding said. Then I'll ask my agent to send it to you, Liao Mukin immediately added. Okay, thank you. This was the first time Pudding was so polite to Liao Mukin. She didn't mock him or look at him coldly. He was so happy that he could fly. It was because the boss accepted his wine. You're welcome. I'm actually quite surprised that you accepted it. Anyway, I'll ask my agent to send it to you right away. Apply the medicine according to the method I sent you. I asked, even if it's not a sprain but a cut on the glass, it's still very effective. This medicine will heal the wound quickly and you won't be in so much pain. Putting away his usual cynicism, Liao Mukin was actually quite a good person. He wasn't a bad person, but he loved to play and was too playful. He always felt like a kid. Pudding was surprised that he had such a warm side. Okay, I got it. Less than half an hour after they sent the message, Liao Mukin's agent came over. He brought the medicine to Pudding. Pudding applied some medicine according to his method and rested in the bedroom. She didn't know that at this moment, it was very lively outside. Huamin, Qin Chu, Jiang Shaowei, Wei Liao, Gao Ran, Zhu Lingling, Ni Yang, Chen Jie, Yixin, Bella, Tang Chuan, Qi Ning, Lu Yen, and Xiao Fei. These 7 couples actually drank too much. Even Lu Yen, who was known to never get drunk, was a bit drunk. Then, in high spirits, she put her arms around his neck and began to sing. Outside Moscow at night. That tune had gone all the way to the South Pole. Huamin, on the other hand, was still listening attentively with his head tilted. Then he took the lead in applauding. The scene was too horrible to look at. God is indeed fair. Lu Yen has the beauty of a fairy, the skills of a special forces soldier, and a domineering temper, but she sings off-key. Tang Chuan wasn't afraid of death, so when the others didn't dare to laugh, he laughed wildly. When he laughed, the entire audience burst out laughing. Lu Yen was infuriated. Of course, she wasn't really infuriated. Tang Big Mouth, you motherfucker! How dare you laugh at me? Do you believe that I'll blow you up right now? Go ahead, go ahead. I don't believe that I'm the only one who's going to die with that bomb of yours. Once it's detonated, we'll all die together. Tang Chuan was also drunk and didn't know what to say. Qi Ning kicked his butt. Don't talk nonsense. Don't jinx it. We can all live to 100 years old. Yeah, I can live to 1,000 years old. Tang Chuan was very proud. Zhu Lingling glanced at him faintly and said, 1,000-year tortoise, a 10,000-year tortoise. Her words made Huamin's stomach hurt. She leaned into Qin Chu's arms and laughed wildly. However, as she laughed, she started crying. It wasn't the kind of crying that would cause tears of laughter. It was the kind of crying that was very sad. Noticing that something was wrong, Qin Chu lowered his head and hugged Huamin. In a low voice, he asked her, Mian, what's wrong? Qin Chu. Philip, I've forgotten someone important. This should be the happiest moment of my life, but what have I forgotten? Huamin's voice trembled. Her mind was in a mess, as if something was about to come out. Chapter 4894. Seeing Huamin cry like a dog, Qin Chu's heart ached. This fearless king was really afraid of Huamin crying. Huamin's tears were the weapon that Qin Chu was most afraid of in his life. So when he saw his wife crying so sadly, Qin Chu tightened his grip on Huamin's waist. Honey, don't cry. Let's think about it slowly. I'll think about it with you. We'll definitely remember. At the same time, in the parallel world, Su Yu woke up alone in the middle of the night. He sat in the star room on the top floor of his private villa and lay on the floor looking at the starry sky. He actually had insomnia miraculously, because when he just fell asleep, he had a dream. He dreamed of the scene in the nightmare world. He dreamed that he was captured by Zhao Qingya. Huamin came to save him with her big belly. Then, the two of them were locked in a small dark room in a sorry state. They experienced so many unforgettable things. He dreamed that Huamin was crying her heart out. He dreamed of the last time they met. In the nightmare, it was the last time he saw her. He also dreamed that he asked Fifth Master to ask her if there was a next life. He asked her to put away her pride and love him so much that she went crazy. Suyu had not dreamed of such a sad scene for a long time. In this parallel world, he had everything. He had family, friends, a wife, a daughter, and a company. But why did he still feel so sad when he thought of the things in that world? The door was gently pushed open. He turned his head and saw Huamin walking in a light pink nightgown. Come here. Su Yu beckoned her with his finger and smiled gently. Huamin walked over quietly and slowly lay down beside him. She was supposed to lie on the floor, but the moment her neck touched the ground, she rested her head on Su Yu's thick arm. She smiled gently, reached out, and placed her hand on his waist. Why are you here? I had a nightmare. I can't sleep. What did you dream of? She was curious. I dreamt that I was kidnapped by bad people, and then you came to save me. You were pregnant. We went through a lot together, Su Yu said seriously. As for those memories, although he had sealed them away, They were still so clear when he recalled them. It was as if everything had happened yesterday. You sure are imaginative. You can even dream of such a melodramatic plot. I think you should quit being a boss and write novels instead, Suyu laughed. With my writing skills, if I were to write a novel, you and Momo would be nothing. It doesn't matter. We're willing to follow you even if we have to eat dirt. In this world, Suyu and Huamin depended on each other for survival. From the time they were in love until they got married, they had never quarreled. The reason was simple. Suyu was always obedient to Huamin. Whatever she said was always right. Therefore, she also knew that Suyu was good to her. She used all her gentleness and tried her best to be good to Suyu. Mion, yeah. If in this world, a man who is prettier than me, more capable than me, more mature than me, and likes you very much, would you still consider him? Sometimes, Suyu quietly thought about it. He had to admit that Qin-Chu was better than him. Qin-Chu was tolerant and emotional. He was also very mature and wouldn't be as impulsive as him. Am I that kind of person in your heart? Huamin was obviously unhappy. Don't be angry, I was just making an example. Seeing that Huamin was unhappy, Suyu quickly tried to smooth things over. Huamin thought about it and replied seriously, I don't think so. I met you first. What if you met him first? Suyu asked again. Chapter 4895. Huamin remained silent. Suyu was extremely nervous. He regretted making things difficult for Huamin and torturing himself. What if the answer wasn't what he wanted? How awkward would that be? After a moment of silence, Huamin hugged Suyu tightly and answered word by word. No matter how good a man appears, I will always tell myself that my beloved husband will be waiting for me in the future. I will not be defeated by the temptation in front of me. After hearing this, Suyu's eyes instantly moistened. He turned over and pressed her under him. He just wanted to kiss her until the end of time. Daddy, Mommy, what are you doing? At the critical moment, the little princess woke up. Suyu and Huamin were extremely embarrassed. The little princess was wearing the same parent-child nightgown as her mother. She had a pink headband on her head. Her voice was also childish. It turned out that the little girl was thirsty in the middle of the night and wanted to drink water. After shouting for a while, she got up on her own and realized that her daddy and mommy were gone. Then little Momo, who had the courage, walked from room to room. Finally, she was caught by the two of them on the top floor. Oh my God, Momo, you climbed from the 3rd floor to the 5th floor by yourself. Oh my God, Huamin found it unbelievable. He quickly got up and hugged his daughter tightly in his arms. Suyu and Huamin's daughter, meant meeting in the same boat. She had Suyu's good looks and Huamin's high IQ. She had courage and wisdom that even children her age did not have. She was calm and magnanimous. She was the little princess of the Su family who was loved by everyone. She was Huamin's treasure and Suyu's favorite. Suyu also stood up and took his daughter from Huamin's arms. Momo, why did you come here alone? What else could I do? Do I have to bring my bodyguards? Suyu, Huamin almost laughed out loud. You can call the auntie in the room next to you. Suyu was referring to the caretaker who took care of Momo, which was the nanny. Doesn't auntie need to sleep? Do you think auntie is an omnipotent Superman just because she earns a small salary from our family? The little Suyimo was very good at fighting against her daddy. Huamin almost burst out laughing. Momo, how can you talk to daddy like that? Suyu pretended to be angry. But daddy said that no matter what Momo does, even if it's wrong, daddy will never blame Momo. The little guy's IQ was extremely high. It's over. I really dug a hole for myself. Suyu shook his head and smiled bitterly. But, what were you two doing just now? Suyimo's attention returned to the moment when she opened the door. Daddy was dominating mommy. That position was really not suitable for children. We were playing around, Suyu explained awkwardly. Don't lie to me. Why do I feel like you two are going to give me a younger brother or sister? Little Momo said something shocking. Huamin and Suyu were so shocked that their jaws almost dropped. My daughter, who told you this? Suyu was impressed. I saw it on TV. In some TV shows, as long as uncle and auntie do this, auntie's belly will definitely get big, Suyimo said with a nose and eyes. Very good, Suyimo. You're not allowed to watch such TV shows in the future, Suyu ordered. If this continued, his daughter would not only mature prematurely, but she would also become a demon. Ahem, Momo, don't talk nonsense. Mommy and Daddy don't want to give you a younger brother or sister. Daddy loves Mommy a lot, so he kissed Mommy. Huamin explained patiently. Then, the little guy pointed at Suyu with an aggrieved expression. You liar. Didn't you say that I'm the woman you love the most in the world? It seems that most men's words can't be trusted. Chapter 4896. Suyu and Huamin did not know whether to laugh or cry when they heard Suyimo's words. She was such a young child, yet she was so jealous. Furthermore, she was competing with her mother for favor. How ridiculous! At that moment, Suyu felt like his heart was about to melt from her cuteness. He picked little Momo up and placed her on his stomach. Then, he explained in all seriousness, You're the woman Daddy loves the most in this world, but so is Mommy. Both of you are, and there shouldn't be any conflict, understand? Little Momo thought for a long time and nodded. The atmosphere that he had wanted to take the opportunity to be affectionate was completely ruined by his daughter. The family of three lay in the star room in the middle of the night, chatting and laughing. The emptiness in Suyu's heart was once again filled up. Yes, after coming to this world, he had everything. Everything that he did not dare to imagine before. So, what was there for him to be dissatisfied with? In another parallel world, ever since Tang Tianjiao met the Qiao sisters, he did not go home. He ate and stayed at South Hill Manor and had a lot of fun. Especially when he liked to stick to Qiao Tuanshuan. Although she was fierce and would hit him from time to time. But he was still enjoying it. While Qiao Tuanshuan went to the bathroom, Tang Tianjiao walked to Qiao Yuan. Hey, Yuan, I heard you're a comic fan, right? Yes, I especially like Japanese cartoons. Naruto? Tang Tianjiao asked. Although it was a very old comic, it was remembered by many because it was a classic. Yes, I like Naruto the most. Qiao Yuan nodded, holding the lollipop in her heart. Actually, she did not really like lollipops. It was just that when she ate lollipops, her mind would work faster and it was more convenient for her to think of some things. Although Qiao Tuanshuan was fierce, she was indeed a little inferior to her sister in terms of intelligence. She was the opposite of the Qin sisters. In the Qin family, the elder sister was smart, while the younger sister was silly. In the Qiao family, the elder sister was fierce, while the younger sister was resourceful. Then, who do you like the most in Naruto? Gaara, Qiao Yuan said without hesitation. Haha, that's why I have a limited edition complete collection of Gaara's original works from Japan. Do you want it? In fact, Tang Tianjiao had already found out about Qiao Yuan's preferences, but he still asked Little Bean. Little Bean was an expert at gossiping among the rich second-generation heirs. Basically, she could gossip about anyone. Therefore, after easily finding out Qiao Yuan's preferences, Tang Tianjiao came over to curry favor with her. You're so kind. Qiao Yuan looked at the comic and didn't take it immediately. Although she really liked it, her mother had told her that one who was unaccountably solicitous was hiding evil intentions. Tang Tianjiao didn't seem to be that generous, so he didn't know what he was planning. Of course, take it. It's really for you. Don't tell me you've taken a liking to me, and you want to hit on me? Qiao Yuan asked directly. Tang Tianjiao was so shocked that he almost spat out blood. I say, sister, can you not ask so directly? As a man, I'm embarrassed by your question. But don't worry, I've never taken a liking to you, and I don't want to hit on you. Actually, I want to ask you something. If you can tell me honestly, I'll be very happy. I see. Tell me. Let's see what I can answer. I'm taking your gift. Qiao Yuan was very smart. Before she answered the question, she didn't take it. If she was in a difficult position and couldn't answer, wouldn't it be a slap in the face if she took it? Chapter 4897. Seeing Xiao Yuanyuan's reaction, Tang Tianjiao laughed. Don't worry. You can answer all my questions. They're all about daily life. Then he picked up the manga and stuffed it into Xiao Yuanyuan's hands. He was really generous. Tang Tianjiao was also a Naruto fan. He had been to Japan many times and went on vacation with his parents. He desperately collected these rare comic books, including Naruto's, Sasuke's, and Gaara's. However, there must be a reason why he was willing to give it to Xiao Yuanyuan. Okay, ask away. Xiao Yuanyuan didn't waste time and went straight to the point. Your sister? What does she like to eat? Russian bread, Russian beer, German-style grilled sausages, and cheese. Alright, she also likes cheese pizza. Then, what other hobbies does she have? Cold weapons, pistols, mini grenades, multifunctional bulletproof vests. Swiss Army. Before Xiao Yuanyuan could finish, Tang Tianjiao interrupted her. Next question. What kind of animals does she like? What kind of pets does she have? Tang Chuan especially liked dogs. When he was young, he had a golden retriever at home. It was super smart. When he grew up, Tang Tianjiao bought a few Alaskan dogs to keep the golden retriever company. The house was very lively. He thought that if Xiao Tuanchuan also liked small animals, he could give her one to make her happy. Cats were very popular nowadays. The short-haired cat was very popular, and it seemed like there was also the gray-haired Garfield. Small animals. Let me think. Does a jaguar count? My sister seems to like leopard prints. The gloves she wears in winter are all made by leopards. My grandfather asked someone to bring a jaguar back from abroad. My sister seems to like it very much and often plays with it. Ahem. Anything else? Tang Tianjiao's legs almost went soft when he heard the word jaguar. He couldn't imagine the scene of the 12-year-old Xiao Tuanchuan being intimate with a jaguar. It was too bloody and inhumane. Other things? King cobras seem okay. My sister likes cold-blooded animals. She had a king cobra when she was young. Later, it bit my sister's maid and was killed by her in a rage. Forget it, just pretend I didn't ask. Let's change the topic. What does your sister usually like to do? Sports? Mountain climbing? Or travel? Xiao Yuanyuan seriously considered for 3 seconds. Combat, explosives, wilderness survival, training in no man's land, and traversing snowy mountains. Alright, he also likes to swim near a crocodile pond in our area. Young Master Tang's eyes widened as he stared at her in disbelief. His voice had also risen by a few decibels. What? Swimming near the crocodile pool? Are there crocodiles? He asked. Xiao Yuanyuan rolled her eyes at him. Aren't you asking the obvious? If there were no crocodiles, would it be called crocodile pool? Then is your sister crocodile good friends? Young Master Tang asked with trepidation. Xiao Yuanyuan laughed so hard that she almost peed her pants. What are you thinking? Crocodiles are cold-blooded animals, and they are ferocious by nature. Humans cannot tame them. How can they be friends? Then isn't your sister afraid of being? Tang Tianjiao didn't finish his sentence. My sister has a sense of danger, so she swims very fast. In the crocodile pool, she trains her swimming speed. Your sister isn't training to swim, I think she's risking her life. Tang Tianjiao was speechless. So you're interested in my sister? Little Snake Tang, do you want to pursue my sister? Xiao Yuanyuan smiled mysteriously. Chapter 4898. Tang Tianjiao's name had a lot of history because Tang Tianjiao was a flood dragon. Old Master Tang named him after a flood dragon that entered the sea and would become rich in the future. However, the Qiao sisters felt that the flood dragon wasn't a dragon. At most, it was a little azure dragon, which was a snake. Therefore, they deliberately called him Tang Tianjiao. This name was very funny. At first, Tang Tianjiao was quite repulsed, but later, the Qiao sisters got used to it. It's not that. I just think Xiao Tuanchuan is quite interesting. Tang Tianjiao scratched the back of his head and admitted it embarrassedly. Ha, you're the first boy who likes my sister in all these years. Your sister is so beautiful. Has no one liked her before? There used to be, but most of the boys who liked her were beaten up by her. Why? Tang Tianjiao's expression changed drastically. Because my sister likes to fight with her suitors? Once a week, how long do you think you can last? Xiao Yuan deliberately scared him. Hero, sorry for disturbing you. Goodbye. After saying that, Tang Tianjiao left as expected, running faster than anyone else. Xiao Yuan laughed hysterically. In fact, fate was really strange between people. Logically speaking, the second son of the Qiao family was actually cuter. However, Tang Tianjiao liked the hot-tempered eldest son, which was very similar to his father. He remembered that when Tang Chuan pursued Qi Ning, he suffered a lot. He even disregarded his reputation and took the initiative to become the Qiao family's son-in-law. The Tang family was so angry that they almost fainted. It was obvious that this kid had no bottom line in order to marry a wife. Now that Tang Tianjiao liked Xiao Tuanchuan, he started to act. In order to find out her interests and hobbies, he was willing to give Xiao Yuan his comics. This method of picking up girls was even better than his father's. At South Hill Manor's garden, Yang Meirong was already staggering, but she still liked to do some rough work. She was watering Huamin's garden with a watering can. Qin Yuyao followed beside Grandma and silently helped her. Ah, Yao, Grandma, how many days can you stay this time? I booked a ticket for next Monday, Qin Yuyao said. Next Monday? That's fast. There are only 3 or 4 days left. Yes, Grandma. I can't bear to part with you. You're only in your teens. I don't understand why your parents sent you so far away to study abroad. Can you get used to the food that foreigners eat? Yang Meirong felt very upset when she thought about how her grandson wanted to continue studying abroad. I'm used to it, Grandma. Then, before you leave, tell Grandma that I'll make some dumplings for you in advance. Bring them to eat on the plane. No need, Grandma. You don't have to do these. There are maids at home. Don't be too tired. How can it be the same as the one I personally made? After his grandmother finished speaking, Qin Yuyao felt that he was actually speechless. Old people always had their own waywardness. He reached out his hand and rubbed the tip of his nose. He didn't say anything else. Qin Guogua? Qin Guogua? A loud voice came from not far away. It was Little Bean. Only she would mischievously call her brother Qin Guogua. What is it? Come here for a moment, quick. Little Bean waved her hand mysteriously and called Qin Yuyao over. He had always thought that his second sister was a person who liked to play pranks, so he usually didn't pay much attention to her. Sis and I have arranged everything for tomorrow. When the time comes, Sis and I will sing a song for Daddy and Mommy. You can join us. I'm not singing, Qin Guogua refused directly. Why? Little Bean glared at her little brother. Chapter 4899. Because I think it's low, Qin Yuyao said. Fuck, you're getting hot-tempered. This is Big Sister's idea. After all, Mom and Dad are holding a make-up wedding. As their children, we have to give them something. You know how rich Mom and Dad are. They can get anything they want. It's meaningless for us to prepare gifts. That's why we want to sing a song. What song? Qin Yuyao asked. Where did all the time go? Sure enough what? Little Bean was dumbfounded. Sure enough, you two can sing this kind of old-fashioned song. I won't do it. Qin Guogua looked disgusted. What do you mean old-fashioned? This song has so much meaning. Daddy and Mommy will be so touched that they'll cry. If it's just for the effect of crying, why don't you two sing Onion? Qin Guogua suggested. Before Little Bean could speak, he added, it's better to sing with 2 onions in your hands. It'll be more appropriate. Qin Guogua, screw you, don't be so stubborn. My uncle is your uncle too. Look at your IQ. All these years, your weight has increased, but your IQ hasn't. I feel sorry for Buyuan. Fuck, you little bastard. How dare you laugh at me? Watch your words. If you call me a little bastard, then what's Dad? An old bastard? Then Qin Yuyao pretended to shout, Dad, come here. My second sister said you're. Before he could finish, Little Bean covered his mouth tightly. I really have to hand it to you. I don't need you to sing with me, okay? Little Bean was really defeated by Qin Guogua. This guy was full of words and no one could beat him. Just because he thought singing together was too low, he came up with a bunch of nonsense. Okay, I won't interfere if you two want to sing, but don't blame me for not reminding you. Don't make it too awkward. You don't have to tell us that. We'll do it. Seriously. After glaring at her little brother, Little Bean left dejectedly. In the glass room outside the garden, Gao Ran was picked up by the driver because he was having a meeting in the hall. Gao Buyuan and Zhu Lingling stayed behind. Zhu Lingling became younger and more beautiful. All these years, she had been living with Gao Ran. Although they were not as loving and happy as in idol dramas. However, she was already very satisfied because Gao Ran had never mistreated her and her son. Other than the fact that she was extremely busy as a police officer, she had everything she wanted. Gao Buyan had followed in his grandfather's and father's footsteps and was now a potential candidate for the police academy. He was tall and handsome. Zhu Lingling was very pleased. Son, do you want coffee? No, we'll be eating soon. Gao Buyuan fiddled with his phone and secretly sent Wei Yunchu a WeChat message. Old Wei, are you really not coming back? This is her coming-of-age ceremony. Even if you two don't have a future together, we've been friends since we were kids. You shouldn't miss this. I think Pudding will be very happy to see you back and witness this important moment. Gao Buyan was Wei Yunchu's best friend even though he went abroad and had a falling out with Pudding. Even though Pudding broke up with Gao Buyuan, he still kept in touch with him. In the past 5 years, Gao Buyuan had been to Germany twice, both times during the summer vacation. Wei Yunchu warmly welcomed him and took him to Austria, Czech Republic, and other places. After a while, Wei Yunchu replied. He didn't answer Gao Buyuan's question directly. Instead, he asked him, after the coming-of-age ceremony, you and Little Bean will be engaged, right? Chapter 4900. Originally, getting engaged was a good thing, but for some reason, after reading Wei Yunchu's reply, Gao Buyuan only felt his heart ache and he felt very uncomfortable. Once upon a time, he thought that he and Little Bean, Wei Yunchu and Pudding, these two pairs of children who grew up together would definitely be together and have their wedding on the same day. However, as he slowly grew up, he realized that feelings were the most uncontrollable. Perhaps it was because of his personality, but Gao Buyuan was thick-skinned. He didn't care how Little Bean bullied him. And Little Bean was such a simple-minded girl, so there was basically no barrier between the two of them. She would say whatever she wanted to say. Even if they quarreled, she would take the phone and shout out her dissatisfaction to let the other party know. Wei Yunchu and Pudding were the exact opposite. Wei Yunchu didn't like to talk. He was a very cold and silent boy. Pudding's inner thoughts were overflowing. Just like her father, she always looked calm on the surface. If one didn't know better, they would think that she really didn't care about anything. There were some things that I wouldn't understand if you didn't tell me. This was distance. The further they got, the more distant they became. Although Gao Buyuan didn't know the exact reason for that incident back then, he didn't know who Pudding was in her heart. He vaguely felt that Little Bean knew the truth, but he didn't ask. This was because he knew Little Bean's temper very well. If she could tell him, she would have told him long ago. Since she didn't say it, it meant that there was something that couldn't be said. Perhaps it was a wound in the sisters' hearts that couldn't be touched. Therefore, when Pudding and Wei Yunchu separated, he was really sad for them for a long time. He always felt that it was a pity. Now that Wei Yunchu asked him about the engagement with envy, how could he bear to show off his love in front of his good brother? Therefore, he only answered vaguely, I haven't done my research yet. Uncle Chin Chu and my dad have the final say. I don't care about these things. Uncle Chin Chu and Auntie Huamin, how are they? Wei Yunchu asked. Yes, very good. One is still so handsome, and the other is still so magnanimous. What about Auntie Ling? There's no need to worry about my mother. The older she gets, the more she likes to show off. The last few times she came back, she asked me to accompany her shopping. The clothes she bought were all colorful, like a peacock spreading its tail. Wei Yunchu sent a smiley face. He must have been amused by Gao Buyuan's words. Bro, think about it again. Your family also has a private jet. If you decide to come back now, everything is still not too late. You will definitely be able to make it before the big ceremony tomorrow afternoon. Gao Buiyuan still hoped that Wei Yunchu would come back and fight for it. After all, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Most importantly, none of these elders didn't want Wei Yunchu and Pudding to be together. Okay, I'll continue working. Talk to you later. She still didn't answer Gao Buiyuan directly. This time, she didn't want to surprise Pudding. It was just that after Tiantian's words that day, Wei Yunchu was a little scared. He changed his mind and didn't want to see Pudding. Or rather, he would appear at the coming-of-age ceremony, but he would only watch her silently from the corner of the crowd, not wanting to be discovered by her. It was because Wei Yunchu's pride didn't allow him to lose to someone who had been in Pudding's heart for many years. Of course, he wouldn't completely believe Tiantian's words, so he secretly did some research. In the end, he really did find some clues about Pudding and Liao Mukin. He wasn't afraid of his love rival or losing to Liao Mukin. What was scary was that Liao Mukin looked like the person in Pudding's heart. Chapter 4901. Time passed quickly, and the day of the coming-of-age ceremony finally arrived. Starting at 5 a.m., the whole South Hill Manor was busy and joyful. The whole South Hill Manor was decorated with Chinese costumes and luxurious gold, silver, and jewelry. Even the dining plates were replaced with gold. The expenditure was so enormous. At 6 a.m., Pudding and Little Bean got up and tried on the gowns. The hand-sewn Chinese gowns were bright red and looked stunning. The sisters wore phoenix coronets on their heads and luxurious Han Chinese costumes. At that moment, they looked like the coronation ceremony in ancient times. Lu Yen and Huamin helped them with everything. Lu Yen even joked, "My nieces, they look like the Empress." No. Even the Empress isn't as beautiful as you two. Pudding pursed her lips. If we were in the harem, with my sister's IQ, she wouldn't survive more than 1.5 episodes. Once, I can survive at least 2 episodes. Little Bean defended herself. Everyone burst into laughter. Yeah. It's said that there are 2 sisters in the Han Palace, Zhao Fian and Zhao Heda. They're extremely beautiful and are loved by the emperor, Zhu Lingling said. Jiang Shaowei chuckled. They're 2 women serving the same husband. It's different from our family. Don't talk nonsense. Little Bean began to argue. My mother-in-law wants my sister to marry Bui. Ha. Shut up. I'll beat you to death. Pudding gave Little Bean a dirty look. In your dreams? It's good enough for you to have one. You want 2? Besides, with Buiyuan's personality, he'll be bullied to death if he marries 2. Huamin chimed in. At this moment, the security guard at the door rushed in and reported, Madam. What's up? A delivery man is at the door. He says there's a package for you and wants you to sign for it. My package? What's so early? Huamin glanced at his watch and saw it wasn't even 6:30 a.m. Don't express deliveries start at 8 o'clock? This is too strange, something's wrong. Sis, don't go. I'll go for you, Lu Yen said. No, that person said that as long as Madam goes personally, the item will not be given. It seems like he knows Madam. The security guard said. Really? Huamin raised his eyebrows. Mom, did you buy something urgent? Pudding turned around and asked Huamin. No. We've already prepared everything. I don't think there will be any deliveries. Huamin was also confused. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't remember when she had bought the express delivery. Let's go, sis. I'll go with you. Don't be afraid. If he tries anything funny, I'll kill him on the spot. Lu Yen had always been bold. Sensing something was wrong, she wouldn't let her sister go alone. Yes, let's go and take a look. Huamin put down the hairpin in his hand and handed it to Jiang Shaowei and Zhu Lingling. With Lu Yen, the 2 sisters walked to the gate. At 6:30 a.m., the sky was already bright. From afar, they saw a figure standing at the gate. He was wearing a yellow vest, the uniform of a delivery man. Huamin was a bit worried. He didn't want anything to happen on such a good day. After all, it was an important day for the children. As Lu Yen walked, she touched the gun on her waist. She pulled out the gun quickly. If the person was a bit strange, she would immediately pull out the gun and kill him. She was very vigilant. When they got closer, they saw that the person's back was facing them. "Hello, I'm Huamin. I'm here to sign for my package," Huamin said politely. The person suddenly turned around. When the two sisters saw who it was, they froze. Lu Yen even forgot to pull out her gun. Chapter 4902. Stupid girl. You still want to pull out your gun? Are you going to kill me? That familiar voice sounded. Lu Yen and Huamin both had tears in their eyes. The two of them called out in unison, "Dad." It turned out that Professor Lu was here. Damn it. Old man, what are you doing? Why didn't you tell me you were coming? I almost thought you were a terrorist. I'm just trying to confuse the public, that's why I disguised myself like this. So, where's my delivery, Dad? Huamin wiped his tears and asked with a smile. Isn't the delivery me? I'm a living person. Huamin was surprised and happy that Professor Lu had learned how to joke. The two of them led Professor Lu inside. Huamin and Lu Yen held the professor's hands, one on each side. Hearing that Professor Lu was here, Qin Chu and Xiao Fei hurried over as well. Dad. Everyone's here this time. I'm very happy to see you all, Professor Lu said with relief. Dad, you just got off the plane. You must be tired. Take a rest and eat something. No, I want to see the children first. Professor Lu had been thinking about his grandchildren for a long time. His heart was about to grow grass. Huamin and Lu Yen were no longer favored. Now it was Chao Chao, Mu Mu, Tuan Tuan, Yuan Yuan, and Guogua who were favored. Then, Professor Lu followed everyone to the living room. At this time, Pudding and Little Bean had changed into their traditional Chinese outfits and were looking at themselves in the mirror. The other children were next to them. Look, who's here? Lu Yen clapped her hands and reminded everyone. The children looked over at the same time. 3 seconds later, they screamed like pigs being slaughtered. Little Bean was the first to rush over and gave her grandpa a bear hug. Oh my God! I'm not dreaming, right? Grandpa, you're really here. You seem to have put on weight again, Little Bean. It's such a happy day, don't mention it. Professor Lu smiled and patted Little Bean's head. Then he looked around at the other children. Grandpa. Xiao to Anchuan was as calm as ever. Hello, Grandpa. Qin Guogua had always been very polite. Grandfather. Pudding's smoke rings were a little red. It was a pleasant surprise so early in the morning. She really couldn't describe her feelings. How long has it been since we last met? You've already grown so big. Looks like Grandpa is really getting old. Professor Lu sighed. Grandpa, come. Let's take a family photo. Come. Little Bean loved taking photos. Seeing that everyone was here, she immediately suggested taking a family photo. Lu Yan's expression changed slightly. She knew her father had a special identity and didn't like to take photos or leave any traces. So she looked at her father and asked, Dad, can I? Sure. For the first time, the professor actually agreed. This really made the children very happy. Huamin was also very happy. Jiang Xiaowei and Zhu Lingling took out their phones and took pictures in front of them. Then the family found their seats. Professor Lu sat in the middle of the chair. On his left was Huamin, followed by Qin Chu. In front of him were Qin Zhaozhao and Qin Mumu. Next to Qin Chu was Qin Yuyao. Standing on Professor Lu's right was Lu Yen and Xiao Fei. In front of the couple were Qiao Tuanchuan and Xiao Yuan. This was a family portrait in the truest sense. Everyone's face was brimming with relaxed smiles. Come, say it with me, eggplant, Zhu Lingling yelled. Lu Yen knew this, and Huamin knew it even more. After taking the photos, Jiang Xiaowei used her free time to look at the photos on her phone. When she took the photos, she took a few close-up shots of Pudding. She had to admit that the 18-year-old girl's skin was really good. It was full of collagen. Even if she didn't use any concealer, her skin was still as white as crystal. Jiang Xiaowei picked a photo of Pudding wearing a traditional Chinese costume and a phoenix coronet, smiling slightly, and sent it to her son, Wei Yunchu, on WeChat. She didn't know if it was encouragement or to satisfy her son's longing. Chapter 4904. Wei Yunchu also looked at the photo for a long time. This was probably the clearest photo he had ever seen, because Jiang Xiaowei had selfishly zoomed in. Therefore, Pudding's face and facial features were very clear. With ancient makeup, she had the grace of a classical beauty. After waiting for about 10 minutes, Jiang Xiaowei was so anxious that she was about to make a call. Wei Yunchu slowly replied, "She's very beautiful." Of course. Pudding has been beautiful since she was a child. That's Qin Chu's excellent genes. Son, what time are you coming? What time does the grand ceremony start? Wei Yunchu asked. I heard from Mian that it's 11:18. Okay, I got it. As expected, he was a man of few words, as if saying one more word was a sin. Even with his own mother, Wei Yunchu was still a man of few words. More and more guests arrived at South Hill Manor at 8 p.m. Although they didn't invite too many outsiders, some business partners, relatives, and friends were still invited. Some well-known media outlets that had a good relationship with GK were also invited to watch the ceremony. As public figures, many leaders of the municipal government came. Gao Ran was now a senior official, so naturally he had to sit with his colleagues. His every word and action attracted attention. Liao Mukin and Han Yueyao were the only artists invited. They walked in hand as if they were walking down the red carpet. Liao Mukin was wearing a suit and looked very rich. Han Yueyao was wearing a sky blue evening gown and looked very beautiful. As soon as they walked in, they were surrounded by the media. Liao Mukin, tell us how you feel today. I'm really happy for my boss. She's finally an adult. I finally don't have to listen to a minor anymore. One word, great. Liao Mukin had always been a humorous person, so his answer immediately made many people laugh. Miss Han, where are your agent and assistant today? Rumor has it that you're planning to buy a house and live together, right? Today is President Qin's big day. Please don't pay too much attention to my personal matters. Thank you. It was obvious that Han Yueyao didn't want to talk about her private life and didn't want to steal the limelight from the host, so she only said a few words. After Liao Mukin came in, he couldn't sit still and wandered around. In fact, he wanted to see Pudding's appearance after her makeup was done. He was really looking forward to it when he heard that she would be wearing a traditional Chinese costume today. In the past few years, Pudding had attended almost all of the company's events, but she didn't put on too much makeup. Even if she didn't wear any makeup, she was still able to outshine many female stars. So Liao Mukin was curious. What would Pudding look like with heavy makeup? Would she tease him to the point that his little heart would pound non-stop? Unexpectedly, as he walked, he bumped into Huamin. Huamin forgot to put on the jade pendants for Pudding and Little Bean's dresses. So, she went to the safe and took out the expensive gift Lu Yen had given her for her birthday. She wanted to rush to the dressing room, but she didn't expect to bump into someone on the way. Liao Mukin quickly reached out and helped Huamin up from the grass. I'm sorry, he apologized immediately. It's okay. Huamin wasn't a delicate person, so he stood up immediately. When he looked up, Liao Mukin was shocked. Mrs. President, I'm sorry. I really didn't mean it. Seeing that it was the president's wife, Liao Mukin was scared half to death. He was still fantasizing that if he could win Pudding's heart, she would be his future mother-in-law. She was someone he couldn't offend no matter what. Seeing this familiar face again, Huamin was in a daze again. He felt that he was an old friend of his, but who was he? Why couldn't he remember? Chapter 4905. Hello, Mrs. President. I'm Liao Mukin. The boy's self-introduction brought Huamian back to reality and reminded her of something. You're the artist from the company, right? Yes, Mrs. President. Okay, you can walk around. I'll go deliver something to Pudding. Okay, take care. Liao Mukin nodded respectfully and sent Huamin away. After all, it was just a small brush with his shoulder. However, Huamin's mind was in a mess. She felt that the kid was someone she knew very well. However, he was only in his 20s. He didn't look like a friend of hers. But what did she forget? Huamian's mind wandered as the intense feeling washed over her. In the dressing room, only Pudding and Little Bean were left. "Sis, is something on your mind?" Little Bean asked when she saw that Pudding was distracted. Pudding bit her lip and didn't answer. "Are you thinking about Wei Yunchu? Don't try to figure out what's on my mind, okay?" Pudding was a little annoyed that her thoughts were seen through. "Sis, don't pretend. Don't forget that we're twins and have telepathy. When you're worried, I'm worried too. It's almost 11 p.m. If there's no news from Wei Yunchu at this time, he probably won't come back. I've asked Buyun and Auntie Xiaowei, but they haven't heard anything. I don't want him to come back. You're thinking too much." As they spoke, Huamin pushed the door open and walked in. "Here, put on the jade pendants." Huamin took out 2 jade pendants and handed them to the sisters. "Pudding, I just saw someone," Huamin said. Pudding looked up and glanced at her mother, knowing that she had something else to say. "He said he's an artist under your company. His name is something like Qin, Liao Mukin?" Pudding was surprised. Little Bean's expression was even more terrible. "Yes, I keep feeling that he looks very familiar, like someone I know, but I just can't remember who he is. Do you two have any impression of him?" Huamin tilted his head as he thought hard. "Can you help me think? Do I have any friends who look similar to that kid?" Pudding and Little Bean looked at each other, and their expressions became complicated. Little Bean hurriedly hung up the jade pendant, got up, and held Huamin's arm. "Mom, you're thinking too much. Other than being a little handsome, there's nothing special about that kid. But his personality is too exaggerated. You'd better not get too close to him. He's a very polite kid." Huamin stood up for him when Little Bean belittled the kid. "Mom, he just has a celebrity face. You might have seen him on TV before, so you have some impression of him." "No, I have a feeling that things aren't that simple." Huamin denied immediately. He felt that both Pudding and Little Bean were wrong. Things weren't that simple. Over the years, her sixth sense had always been very strong. Just like last time when she saw that kid, her sixth sense began to vibrate intensely. It definitely wasn't as simple as seeing a familiar face on TV. Huamin suddenly had a scary thought. Could it be that everyone was hiding something from her? Or, did Pudding, Little Bean, and her husband know? Was she the only one who didn't know? The moment this thought popped up, it was really scary. Huamin felt that the people she loved most wouldn't lie to her, especially Qin Chu. "Have you not been resting well recently? Organizing our coming-of-age ceremony is too stressful. After it's over, you can ask Auntie Xiaowei to prescribe some medicine for you to recuperate." Little Bean deliberately changed the topic. Chapter 4906. Huamin nodded. "That might be the case. Go back to touching up your makeup. When it's time, you'll go on stage. Do your best." Huamin patted her daughter's shoulders and left the dressing room. Little Bean's words reminded her of something. She really should ask Jiang Xiaowei to take a look. However, it wasn't medicine. Jiang Xiaowei was a famous psychiatrist in China. Other than helping people with their mental illnesses, she also had another skill, which was hypnosis. It was said that hypnosis could awaken something deep in a person's heart, including things that they had forgotten for a long time. Therefore, Huamin thought that after the coming-of-age ceremony, she should ask Jiang Xiaowei for a private hypnosis session. She wanted to see if she could find any clues. She wanted to see what was going on with that boy's familiar face. 11:15 p.m., the MC came on stage to liven up the atmosphere. At this time, the lawn in front of South Hill Manor was filled with 700-800 people. This MC was invited from Jing City. It was said that he was a famous MC and was a top student at Jing City University. A tall, thin, and handsome boy. His words were humorous and witty. Everyone's appetite was piqued right from the start. When the auspicious time arrived, he recited an ancient poem before Pudding and Little Bean went on stage. It was accompanied by the dance of the palace maids in ancient costumes and classical music. A beautiful voice slowly sounded. Delicate clouds playing tricks, flying stars passing hatred, the silver river crossing in secret. Golden wind and jade dew meeting, surpass countless things in the world. Tender as water, the auspicious days are like a dream. Enduring the Magpie Bridge and returning home. If two people love each other for a long time, how can they be together day and night? Coincidentally, the author of this poem also had the surname Qin. Speaking of which, he might be an ancestor of the Qin family. After reciting the poem, the MC shouted in an impassioned voice, "Next, let us give our warmest applause to today's two protagonists, Qin Zhao Zhao and Miss Qin Mumu." Classical music started playing. Pudding and Little Bean slowly walked out from the backstage with the help of 4 maidservants dressed as maids. Then they carefully walked up the stairs. At the back of the crowd, a boy wearing a black baseball cap stood there, looking at Pudding with tender eyes. Wei Yunchu sneaked in just like that. Jiang Xiaowei helped him get the invitation. What Wei Liao didn't know was that Wei Liao was sitting in the first row with Rick, Tang Chuan, and Ni Yang. Pudding and Little Bean followed the Han Dynasty's rite of passage, one after another. He bowed deeply to his parents and elders, thanking them for their kindness in raising him. Then, the host said softly, "The rest of the time is reserved for the 2 leads. They seem to have something to say to the guests. Sis, do you want to go first?" Little Bean asked Pudding in a low voice. "You first," Pudding said calmly. Little Bean happily took the microphone and spoke from the bottom of her heart. She had written the lines in advance and had memorized them by heart. Pudding's eyes, however, seemed to be drifting. When she looked down the stage just now, it was just a casual glance, but she seemed to have seen someone. Yes, that person was at the back of the crowd. He was wearing an inconspicuous black suit and a hat. However, that feeling was irreplaceable. Pudding thought that she was seeing things, so she took a few more glances. However, when she looked again, the person was gone. "Sis, it's your turn," Little Bean reminded her quietly. However, Pudding was still looking for that familiar figure. "Sis, it's your turn to speak." Little Bean stuffed the microphone into Pudding's hand and reminded her, bringing her back to reality. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.